back to the latest installment of the Grimm Chronicles. I come to you from Wiesbaden, Germany, and unfortunately I forgot my tripod, which means I am holding the camera in my hand because that's the only way I could figure out to get it to be at this height, which is the least unflattering, let's put it that way. And you see a little bit of the view here of my 7th floor hotel room. It's a small room, but it's a nice room. They're pretty basic, but I like this place, and it's just it almost feels like home because I've been here so often. I've stayed here so often. Anyway, let's talk about the books now. So my plan is that I have the Rougon novel on my iPad, and I did continue on a little bit more with that. I tried to be good about, even through the week, reading on, and it's, moving forward. And I think the big change from last week is that he was reinstated as a minister. So he's kind of, maybe he was already there. See, this is what happens when you travel. It's like I can't remember exactly the timeline of things. Maybe he had already been reinstated. And so now he's throwing his weight around. And there's this episode where he goes to actually do the dynamite exploding of a new train tunnel. And there was a big ball, and Chlorine's still there. One thing that's interesting is that because I switched to the iPad Kindle, it's a different translation, and it's more dated, and it's more tendentious. Like some of the words it uses, it's not quite as good as the Oxford one, which was a new one. And it's not so bad that I don't want to continue reading, but I can just definitely tell some differences. And so that's all going really well. It's still not done. And I'm still sort of trying to get used to reading it on the iPad. So, and on the plane, I had hoped to be able to read more flights. I read a little bit of the Olga Tokarczuk, and it's very interesting. It's very sort of disjointed narrative. One of the main ones so far is this father whose wife and child disappear under strange circumstances on this island in the Baltics, I think, somewhere. And the narrative voice is, who could be auto-fictive or not, is interested in bones. So this, right, Tokarczuk is interested in bones and the bones of animals and things, even from the other book. So it's kind of interesting. And also sort of the curious, the malformed, the cabinet of curiosities and all that kind of cool stuff. And it is interspersed with some diagrams. One thing that I didn't like about my flight was it wasn't that comfortable because I was on an aisle seat where the aisle was on my right, and it was very narrow. So the minute you had your foot or arm out, it got bumped again and again from people walking past. And when they did the trays for the food, they had to keep screaming, put your stuff in, because they were like going through it, and if you had you could get hurt. And having it, I really prefer an aisle seat where the aisle is on my left. I know it's a small detail, but picky Kathy. And it was pretty uncomfortable because it also just didn't have any leg room. And another thing is the light from above, which is really far away in the middle section. It was like not on the book. It was like way too close to the chest. And also it was the people next to me, no one else was reading in the middle of the night. And so it would have been mainly on my neighbor, the person in the middle seat. So I didn't really feel comfortable reading that book, which meant that what I did do was mainly listen to Crossroads, the Jonathan Franzen, which I do have thoughts about. And I am enjoying it. It seems pretty conventional, pretty straightforward novel about this family and honing in on certain issues to do with religion and belief systems and morality, and people who are sort of pulled towards being bad, but in their heart of hearts want to be good. That seems to be. And one thing I'm not quite sure about is, so it's set in 1971, and I'm sort of thinking about the mother in the family. So one thing he's doing quite well is he seems to be pretty good at showing how, what a cad basically, the father is in a way. So he's good at like portraying the caddishness of men. But I'm not sure about his depiction of women quite yet. I'll have to think about it more, especially the mother. She seems to be coming off as rather dated, but on the other hand, she did grow up in the 50s, or, well, she's had 4 kids by 71. I don't know how old she's supposed to be. And see, part of this could be the reader. The reader's not that good with women's voices. He makes them all sound like Betty from the 50s, a little dated. He changes his voice too much, or just not in a very convincing way for the women, especially the young women's voices. And the descriptions of women are objectifying through the lens of the times and the characters, especially the father, who's basically a cad. And one of the best parts so far is, I don't think it's too spoilery, is the oldest son realizing what the specific type of non-entity his father actually is. And he apparently, it's the whole sort of disillusionment of growing up with people who actually turn into less perfect people than you thought they were, that kind of thing. But the mother's characterization is sort of bugging me, or at least I'm not getting as much out of it. I'm trying to see what he's trying to do with it. She's sort of fulfilled the mothering role, and the main thing is that her husband's no longer interested in her, which I just think is so kind of bugs me, and it irritates me and it makes me angry. And I'm not sure, it's as if I do want the narrative to be more critical or more on her side. It's just, you can sort of maybe tell that this is written by a man. I don't know, but maybe I'm being unfair. So I'm on chapter 8, and it is a long book. So I'm thinking about, but he is quite good at characterization. These are really interesting people, especially the kids, and this strange church group, which I'm sure there's so many like this, with a sort of charismatic but problematic leader. But it is interesting. I mean, he's honing in on interesting topics, and it's well written. It's not Proust. But, there's only one Proust, so that is a pretty high bar. But I am enjoying it, and I'm glad I had a good audiobook to listen to on the plane, because I couldn't really read. I tried to read a little bit on the iPad, because that has its own light. But even that was sort of, struggling to get things. You have no room. You know how it is on planes. It can be kind of uncomfortable. So yeah, so moving on with the Rougon, moving on with the Franzen, and Flights. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to read much more now, because of just finally kind of caved to tiredness. On the other hand, I'll probably wake up pretty early, because that's what happens when I first come to Europe. I think, is it both ways? I wake up early in the beginning. Anyway, so, but yeah, it's all going quite well. And I'm having thoughts mainly this week about the Franzen. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Am I forgetting? No. And, I probably will pick up some books along the way, but I will have to ship them back or something, because I don't really have room for them in the suitcase. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be hanging out with my sister, and we're going to get a haircut day. So we're going to get a special, it's called the calligraphy cut, this kind of strange haircut. I don't know. It's supposed to be really good. So I will report back on that. This was a very short Tuesday Grimm Chronicle because of jet lag, etc. Hope everyone's doing well, and I will probably be posting at least one other travel vlog and another Tuesday Reads, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye.